Once again, thank you very much. Welcome. This is Obasco One, and here is Family Therapy Podcast, mounted likely right here. And I'm happened to feature in Chacha, Mr. Chacha George, right here on the round table with your very own Dixon Elisha. What cooks and what is malting and what is vibrating? Get it freezed right here with me, Mr. Chacha, man behind the Family Therapy Podcast. I want to know what is his profile, and that's why I have seated him right here. It could be like an hammer nailing a nail. Feel much welcome, Mr. Chacha.
Thank you, Elisha.
It's a nice moment that I'm going to have with you, and hope you're not going to piss off. I know you're comfortable.
I hope I'm
relaxed. Hope everything is fine.
Everything's fine.
Viewers, this is a man that started his life profile as one who went to priesthood class. The mother retaliated and said, "My son, I need grandchildren in future." This is a man that survived through a lot of temptation, inclusive of cultism. We want to hear his story right away. Chacha,
Yeah.
you ended up as a priest, did you?
No, I didn't, unfortunately. Interestingly, I was pregnant with the priesthood all my school life. Unfortunately, I never delivered the baby priesthood.
All right.
Yeah.
The reason?
In a nutshell, my mother told me, "You are my second born son. Your elder brother is married to a non-courier, and I'm afraid that his wife one day will pack and go with all the children. He will remain childless, and then you are a priest, then you are also childless. Then who's gonna give me grandchildren?" And so he said, "For that reason, I'm not allowing you to proceed with the priesthood."
Could you see this would interfere with the culture?
Yes, my mom is very traditional. She's a woman who grew up. She was born in the Kuria community, raised in the Kuria community, and she's very conservative. She upholds the Kuria culture to the letter, including female circumcision.
You're kind of a guy that is, the proverb goes that a rolling stone gathers no moss, and you brought a lot of stones by different professions, right from a priesthood, and right here you are, a journalist.
Yes, I think I'm possibly maybe a jack of all trade. Okay,
Yep.
I have done many things in life, and basically I would say that I have handled anything that has come about. So first and foremost, after failing to become a priest, I enlisted in the Kenya Air Force. The Kenya military at that time, it was known as Ministry of Defense. Now they call it Kenya Defense Forces, and specifically in the line of the Air Force, okay, where I trained as an aircraft engineer, seeing me serve in the Air Force for 18 years. But even while still in the military, I actually trained how to become a writer.
All right.
I still had passion for journalism. I had passion for media to date.
Why did you have to wait until now you're grown old and then is when you want to focus on that?
That's a very interesting. Actually, I had never seen it that way, but then I think I'm finally like living to my dream. It may have taken so many years, but now I'm living my dream.
All right. Mr. Chacha, you're also known as a person who have worked with the security agency. Am I wrong to say so?
Yes, I have. I have worked in a security agency beside the military. I have also worked as a security person in some private organization. Yeah.
What are some of the accolades you were given as an aircraft engineer that you served for 18 years?
First and foremost, I got long service good conduct medal. In other words, I served the military for 16 years without any entry in my file. My reputation, my record was clean, and therefore I was decorated with the long service and good conduct medal. Another very important medal that I earned is a distinguished serviceman. Distinguished Serviceman Medal is a medal that is awarded to people who have done exemplary service. Together with my team, we did the first thing ever in the Kenya Air Force. Sorry. It so happened that for the first time in the history of the Buffalo aircraft, together with my team, we opened the speed decreaser gearbox to a level that had never been opened. We inspected the gearbox.
Hold on a little bit. I just want to know, were you divided into classes, junior class or senior class?
No. Because the aircrafts at the time, the Air Force at the time had different types of aircrafts. So I worked on the Buffalo aircraft. The Buffalo aircraft were the biggest military transport aircraft at the time. But now I think they have phased them out. There is an all new set or species of aircraft, transport aircraft. So I specifically worked on the Buffalo aircraft. There are other engineers who worked on the helicopters, which we used to call Thermal 4C or the choppers, and there's some who worked on the fighter aircraft, the Hawk, the F-5, okay? But I specifically worked on the transport aircraft. And for the first time, like I said, we opened the speed decreaser gearbox and inspected it, did repair, and assembled it back, and it functioned so well. And therefore, we were all awarded with the, four of us actually were awarded the Distinguished Serviceman Medal.
If you don't mind, may I ask which category were you by then?
I was having the rank of a senior private.
All right.
A senior private.
Okay.
Because I know here I was at the rank of the senior private.
At the base, how was your relationship with the colleagues and you and your senior most personnel?
Well, I related very well with my colleagues, both at my level and my seniors. And I would believe that they also saw me positively. I saw all of them positively. We were really a team. Teamwork, team spirit was really encouraged, and therefore I really didn't have any alternative. You have to work as a team. But also, most importantly, is that while still serving in the Air Force, and one of the most remarkable things that also happened to me is that I had the opportunity to speak to several distinguished persons. In 2004, I was delegated to explain or talk to His Excellency, the late President Mwai Kibaki. And I took him through the Buffalo engine. I took him through how we do servicing of the engine. I took him through how much money we are saving by overhauling the engines at Moi Air Base as compared to shipping them to abroad. Until then, actually, the engines used to be shipped to Canada, to Egypt, to Brazil, but now we came to a level where we were servicing the aircraft. So another very important dignitary that I talked to, is there was a visiting general from Nigeria, and he was called General Abdisalam Abubakar.
Wow.
Later on, General Abdisalam Abubakar became the president of Nigeria in a coup, I think. Yes, so I've had the opportunity of meeting several senior U.S. generals who I've taken to the kind of work that he does. And therefore, those are some of the humbling moments that I remember during my service.
If I might ask you, if today was supposed to go to the Guinness record, would you please, what hinders you from being placed in the Guinness record?
Maybe you can recommend me. But honestly, I rose from a humble background and simple boy who just rose from the dust to get to there. To me, I remember like the time I was enlisting in the Air Force, I prayed to God and I said, God, I would really, before then I used to pray that, oh God, how I wish I would one day fly in an aircraft. It was a dream, and I used to envisage myself like being a passenger in an aircraft. How does it feel? Those questions used to kind of bog my mind. How does it feel to be airborne? How, this kind of thing. Little did I know that one day God will actually not only put me in the aircraft, but make me the force behind to make that aircraft fly. For me, I say that really that was a prayer answered, and maybe God gave me even more than I had asked for.
If I was to touch the National Youth Service and I would compare the military in the past, what's the difference between the military in the past and the one NIS?
No, the difference is very big.
Yeah.
It's big in the sense that the military, they are taught war tactics, you see. You are taught weaponry. You are taught, you are exposed to phases of war, okay? There's a situation whereby you go to the desert in Lodwar, Lokichar, the desert area where you have to act real war situation, and therefore you're being hardened. And then also the military training is really rigorous, very rigorous, and therefore you can't compare it to the NYS. NYS, they drill, parade drill. In the military, they do both parade, yes, but they, more importantly, they do specialized training, military converting, really just hardening you and preparing you for a real battle.
I just want to ask you one question and we'll just proceed back. I'll just take you back to the priesthood or where you started. If you were slapped on the right cheek by your senior most, how would you react?
In the military?
Yes.
You wouldn't react. You would just kind of humble yourself, coil your tail, and salute and say, yes, sir.
What about the vis-a-vis of your junior and your senior? You're old. I mean, you're old, and maybe you're the one at the rank. He's younger than you, and slap maybe your left cheek.
In the military, age doesn't count. It is the rank. That means I may be 55 years old, and there is a young man who is only 22 years old. By virtue of him being a lieutenant, I have to stand up when he walks in. I have to call him sir, and when he sends me, I have to run.
And give it just
Virtually running.
This man that is behind all this Family Therapy podcast is called Joe Chacha. Joe Chacha is a man of vast knowledge, but I have to dig in deeper. Allow me to do so because it's very, very important for me to do because it's here on a hot seat. Now, Mr. Chacha, what are some of the challenges you experienced in your priesthood?
Well, the first challenge is, of course, wishing away beauty that exists. And let me tell you, during Sunday Mass, you will see maybe some of the most beautiful faces, maybe some of the most best designed body structures. But
are you preferring gender here?
Preferring what?
Gender? Female design or what?
Well, yes, because I was friends of priests, and in Kenya, of course, we only talk of in Kenya, and maybe in most part of Africa, we only know of marriage as between opposite sex, and therefore it is really the female, and therefore we have to struggle. It's like you're trying to deny that those kind of people exist, but they exist, and therefore you're torn between should I become a priest or should I share this calling, and then I just answer my call of nation.
Are you feeling like you're still enslaved?
Now?
Yeah.
No, I'm not really enslaved, but to be honest, maybe I should have become a priest, and maybe I would have made one of the best priests, because again, sometimes I look at the vocation, the service, the average number of priests that I really admire, and the occasions have said, maybe I should have become a priest.
So you still have a dream? If I know of culture, maybe your parents, your mom who claim for grandsons or granddaughters, would you still go back for the same career?
It's complicated because one, I have grown-up children, and my own family life is even full of a lot of mysteries and intricacies, and therefore I can't. So that dream is not really on on the table.
So meaning that you're born by the doctrines of Catholic.
Actually, I switched from Catholic. Now I fellowship in evangelical churches.
All right. Now, I just want to take you back again, and we want to focus now. You, after you have rolled up the stone of being a priest, and you rolled up a stone of being you've rolled up the most, I mean, not a stone, you've rolled up the most of being a priest, you've rolled the most of being a military service, you served in there for 18 years. Now, you decide to go back to school.
Yes, I went back to school.
Pursue?
Which?
You went to school to pursue?
Yes, after failing to become a priest, I enlisted in the military, like I said. And after enlisting in the military, I had to attend a military training college in Eldoret, where I trained for 7 months before I was posted to Moi Air Base in Nairobi. But then, because during recruitment you are graded, so according to the aptitude tests, my grades placed me in the trade of aeronautical engineering. And that's how I ended up in Kenya Armed Forces Technical College in Embakasi Garrison.
I want to address the viewers, the audience, from the challenges of being a priest and then the challenges of getting into military, all in ground. There's some of the people, today we have NIS, today we have a school of theology, but do we go there in the name of having that calling to serve as a priest? Because you've understood all that is coming up and turning up, that the priest has neglected or showed his back to the doctrines of Catholic and have gone astray. So I just want you to address this.
The challenge of being a priest are basically largely due to cultural, and of course again we cannot ignore the bodily needs of a man. This poses the biggest challenge to priesthood, so that there are instances when we have come across not very good reports about certain prelates, both in the Catholic Church and even in the evangelical churches. Then the other temptation, of course, is that aspect of money. I mean, wherever there is money, money corrupts, and wherever there is plenty of money, sometimes it's likely to influence a man's decision and a man's behavior. Therefore, also there is that aspect of like, I want to live my genealogy, I want to live my roots, and especially now that also falls in the cultural aspect where maybe parents, the aged parents feel like they have to be kept alive. The challenge in the military is where, for me, like when I was in the military, honestly, for the 18 years that I served, I felt like I was a round peg in a round hole. I honestly didn't fit. I did it for survival. It's not really something that I enjoy, but I had to do it because at the end of the day, I had a family to feed. And looking back, I was a square peg in a round hole. For me, I wanted to work with humanity. I wanted to work with human beings. I wanted to communicate with people and not communicate to machines. You see, I would walk into the engine workshop and I would be on that engine, especially when there is crisis, from morning at 7 a.m. up to 7 p.m. when I'm leaving that place. And sometimes I wish that there were people to talk to me. I admired what the doctor was doing. I admired what the social department person would be doing. And therefore, I honestly felt like I wanted to work with humanity. And that's the reason why when 18 years came, initially I wanted to leave after 9 years. And I realized that I had not yet built a house where I was going to take my family. I don't have a house at home. So I decided to renew my contract to make it 12 years. At 12 years in the service, I still hadn't built a house. And then I decided, how can I live? How can I put employment? And I don't have a house to take this family to. I renewed to make it 15. At 15 years in the service, that's when I bought land. I built myself a modern, good house. I established myself a homestead. And therefore I waited for my contract to end. When it came to 18 years, I was done. I thought that I had had enough. And so I walked out, because knowing very well that I will only need to relocate my family to the village in Kuria West. And I don't pay rent. Food and maintenance in the village is relatively lower as compared to the city. And that's exactly what I did.
I just want to direct again to the viewers, Mr. Chacha. Today we have NIS, and the kind of discipline they're undergoing seems to be much heavier as compared to previous times. I don't know whether it's the same thing, but to some, it's like a hell. It's like a torturing dungeon. And I just want to let them know, or let the audience themselves. There are NYS recruited yearly, and you hear them, you watch it, because I believe you still have the barakism in you, the spirit of military, and if it is a matter of security agents, it cuts across. And the NYS and all the police calls and the KDA and all kind of stuff. They are young people who are subjected to NYS, and if you watch and if you see how they've been trained, does not even signify the age.
Well, yes, the NYS training, I would say that it's basically to build your resilience. The training there really doesn't have so much relevance other than hardening you, building your resilience, your ability to bounce back. And that's what NYS is all about. Because most of the things, most of the activities that are trained, really, sometimes you wonder, why will you ever apply them in life? It's like, for example, when we were in school, the Pythagoras theorem, where have I applied it? Other than the time I learned, there are formulas. Finding the area of a circle, okay, fine, at least that one I used it when I was in the technical college. But the Pythagoras theorem, I don't know this law, this kind of thing. Call sign, I don't know what those signs and what they say exactly. Even in the NYS, there are quite a lot of things, activities that sometimes really border on almost really not really useful. For example, like food kit, okay, how to hold a spade. Do I really need to learn how to hold a spade for me to scoop soil? No, I don't. So the only harder part with the NYS is the resilience building. They are really molding you. They are giving you the strength to withstand emotional pressure, because, and that's the reason why somebody who has gone through the military and the NYS, those people have cause, they survivors. They can survive. They can do virtually in any kind of atmosphere, because I bathed using 1 liter of water, and even up to now I can bathe using 1 liter of water.
Some would just prefer 1 cup.
One cup, you see.
Is it true? 1 cup?
It is true. You can do that, because we have what we call a fridge.
You walk out of the birthplace.
And trust me, you are sweat free. You are not smelling sweat, and you are as clean as you can be.
We'll watch the comments of the viewers and then tell us what is true. Now, I want to give us the last bit of the military aspect of it, and we'll have a short break, and then we'll come back for another segment of your life, of your profile, of your life story. You serving as an aeronautical engineer, or serving or studying aeronautical, is it?
Aeronautical engineer.
Aeronautical engineering, fine. I want to ask this question. If today an institution is open, freshly new, would you have that urge to go and teach aeronautical engineering?
Yes, I think it will be an exciting experience. Standing in front of class to teach. And again, this is a subject, this is a topic that I'm very well versed with. I'm not bragging, but I was a brilliant aircraft engineer. And I am confident that if given the subject to teach, I will teach wonderfully. Because I taught, by the way, in the military, those students coming fresh, the freshers from the Aeronautical College. When they came to the CT64 engine, I used to do the induction. In other words, I would induce them into the Buffalo engineering.
Oh, yeah, look at that. But today, it's rare to find an institution offering that course.
Yeah, there are quite a number of institutions. I know quite a number of them in Nairobi. There is a Nairobi Aviation Training College. We have, there's another one at Bomas of Kenya. Then I think, yeah, those are the two notable, the ones that I know, which I left. You know, I left Nairobi in 2010. I'm a village man, and I believe since then maybe many colleges have come up.
I think to any institution that is starting up, if you want more kind of ideas and inventions, I think this should be extended also to these marginalized areas so that you can get up a lot of students. Mr. Joe Chacha is here, can take you through aeronautical engineering. Start up that institution right there and meet lecturer, and now then you'll be a lecturer. Thank you for being with us for that first segment. We are now breaking for a break, and then we're coming back to see how did he end up to Chulalongkorn University and how did he ended up into cultism and how did he purportedly suggested to stay with the stepmother instead of the real biological mother. Keep watching. This is Family Therapy Podcast. Press or click the subscription button and then keep following and then watch more episodes that are aligned, previous and the forthcoming. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for having eyed on this segment on Obasco One, having Family Therapy Podcast mounted right here, and I have my very well counselor, educator, round here, right here, not round here, right here on the round table. It's a nice session, and you shifted to civic educator.
Yes, after I retired from the military, I worked with two petroleum companies between 2007 and 2009. Then actually during my working with this petroleum company, saw me even going to work in Kigali. I worked in Kigali International Airport for a duration of 3 months. And during that time, I was the acting depot superintendent for Kigali International Airport for the petroleum company that I was working. So later on in 2010, I permanently relocated to the village. I left Nairobi. I felt that I had had enough of the city. Then I became a civic educator. I mean, I was basically engaging in public awareness, specifically on peace building and conflict resolution, issues to do with human rights clinic. I was educating people on their rights, on the peace matters, how to coexist, how people to live in harmony. You know, I was promoting societal fabric. Okay, and that really gave me a lot of satisfaction. I was working with the community. The very thing that I really desired from the time I was in primary school. Remember, I wanted to become a priest, and that's because I wanted to work with the people. And now, being a civic educator gave me the opportunity to work with the people, directly with the people.
So how you ended up into Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, Thailand?
In the course of my civic education, there is an outfit, actually the German Foundation, the Konrad Adenauer, that was before then. But I had already started kind of working with the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, that's they call it CAS, it's a German foundation. And therefore they had given me some kind of capacity building on conflict resolution and peace building and conflict resolution. I trained as a pool of experts within the Nyanza region as one of the peace practitioners, a pool of experts. Had gone through quite a number of training under the Konrad at the German Foundation. I had participated in even some civic education by act, which is funded by USAID. So basically my capacity in peace matters was really enhanced. And I developed passion for it. Somewhere along the line, one of my fellow peace actors called Jane Morotu, and I really salute Jane Morotu wherever she is.
You say who?
Jane Morotu.
Jane Morotu.
She's the one who really tipped me about the Rotary scholarships.
All right.
She even shared this concept with me and told me, John, I think you can qualify for peace scholarship. And therefore, she even shared with me the link for the Rotary Peace Fellowship Scholarship, which I applied and I was successful. And I found myself in Bangkok, in Thailand, for another 3 months where I trained as a Rotary Peace Fellow, graduating with a professional development certificate in peace building and conflict resolution from Chulalongkorn University.
Good. I have seen and I understand from your intelligence of how you mark your words before coughing them out. And what are some of the credits you've earned from conflict resolution and solving public conflicts?
One, I was involved in brokering peace between the Abakuria people and the Maasai people. It's only that I may not be very exact about the dates, but somewhere around 2014, 2015, thereabout, at the height of the conflict between the Abakuria people and the Maasai people, I was called as one of the facilitators. And we had a 2-day peace workshop, whereby at the end of the 2 days, the two ethnic communities signed a peace agreement. Even though, of course, I won't say that I was alone, and I also want to recognize another peace fellow called Castro Baraza. Castro Baraza trained in Coventry University. He is a peace fellow from Coventry University. I'm a peace fellow from Chulalongkorn University. Coventry is in the UK, and Chulalongkorn is in Thailand. So both of us really seem to have quite a lot of similar feathers. Another great engagement that I engaged in is in Brimagongo in Kuria West, at the time when the Abakuria people had very fierce conflict with their Luo counterpart. 21 houses were razed down, and again I was involved in brokering peace between these two communities. And I have been involved in brokering peace between Korea and Korea, okay? The two clans. We have two clans in the Abakuria community that have kind of upheld or have lived with ancient old animosity. I mean, the Bairege and the Banyabasi. And I have been actively involved in highlighting this conflict, sharing the dynamics of this conflict until NCIC in I'm not sure whether 2014 thereabout, when NCIC came to Korea East, it was as a result of my write-ups, as a result of my journals, and NCIC, the entire NCIC came to Korea. When they visited Migori, they had a meeting at Maranatha Church, but then they had to hold one special sitting in Korea East.
I'm really appreciating your achievements as conflict resolution. Upon some bringing this into the awareness and to the community, I think you played a vital role into this river. Now, there is something else I wanted to ask. Do we have any institution that recognizes you, institutions like courts, and the position that you have in serving us in this bucket of peace and public conflict resolution?
I like that question. Interestingly, I am a member of the Court Users Committee in Kehancha, okay? And I really wanted to become an accredited mediator in the judiciary. But the challenge is what they call the accredited mediator. When I look at it, I really poke a lot of holes in it because it's not different from the conventional court system. And therefore, I have chosen to work with the traditional court systems in Korea. So you asked me, am I recognized? The Abakuria justice system recognizes me a lot, both in Korea West and Korea East. I have conducted trainings to these old men and women who help resolve conflict out of court. I have capacity build the district peace committees or the divisional peace committees. I have capacity build the elders, okay, the very elders at the community level, basically trying to advocate for the alternative justice system and specifically along the traditional line.
What are some of the conflicts that you settle? Land disputes? Or?
Yes, land disputes, inter-family, inter-neighbor conflicts, maybe debt, somebody has failed to pay, even marriage, okay, how do they, but then you realize that with the new constitution, it says, it very clearly declares that any law that is law in the constitution is null and void or does not hold, and therefore I have had now to kind of conscientize the Abakuria people, especially the elders, that any judgment that they pass should be in line with the Kenyan Constitution 2010.
Viewers, if you have a problem, anything to do with conflict, be it land dispute, tribal, community issues, before you rush to court, I think there is need to have this problem solved first at the community-based level. And Chacha is well knowledgeable, is well accorded. He has what it takes to make sure that is sorted out. And people having a win-win. Where do you get the win-win kind of stuff from? Is it from the institution of talent? A win-win? Is it a win-win? Can you talk about something a win-win is?
Yes.
And you can address the viewers.
Viewers in court, there will always be a win-lose situation. That means that you either win or you lose. And therefore, the decision, the ruling that the judge reaches further divides and even disenfranchise the parties. Okay? Because many a time, the loser is actually should have been the winner. And therefore, in the traditional court system, it's always a win-win situation, whereby you go with something and I go with something. In other words, at the community justice system, we will be seeing justice that heals. In other words, the traditional justice system does not just seek justice, but it seeks to heal the relationship between the two parties. Meaning that if I had a conflict with you, at the traditional justice system, they will not be so much concerned about justice alone, but they will bring on board how they can restore our relationship. At the end of the session, we shake hands, we hug, and we go home as neighbors, because from the look of things, being my neighbor, we might live for the next 30, 40, maybe even 50 years, depending on how old we are. And that's what we normally say, win-win situation.
Now, Mr. Chacha, today you are a councillor and you solved a lot of problems at the community-based level. Could it be domestic? What is the tool that you use to solve this?
First and foremost is integrity. I think people have to have confidence in me. And the people have confidence in me. They believe in my sincerity. Okay? And then you have to also bear in mind that I have trained in this field. And I know that the simplest definition of conflict, what is conflict? Conflict is a situation whereby you and I have incompatible interests. As long as we have incompatible interests, and you are aware that there is an incompatible interest, and I'm aware there is an incompatible interest, then there is conflict. And therefore, I try to build my decision or how I structure and guide this by taking into consideration the principles of conflict resolution and the things that I learned again. And these are the same things that I have practiced, taking into consideration that human being will always want, I will always want what you have, and you will always want what I have. So how do I arrive to a common ground? And there is a very important example that we normally use in peace studies. An orange tree has grown along the border. Unfortunately, the roots and the stem are on your land, but for some reason the tree bent over so that all the fruits are on my land. Whose oranges are those?
Puzzling question I cannot answer. Maybe they will answer us on the comment section. And
The stem is on your land,
yeah.
but the tree bent over so that the fruits are on my land. Yeah. How do we share this?
Viewers, we are on a quiz that we have to answer by ourselves. Who's gonna have it? I don't know. And then we'll see that on your comment section. I just want to tell you that do not forget to hit the bell button and notification button to keep being notified of whatever the episode that fall in right here at the Family Therapy Podcast. Do not forget to share. Do not forget to comment and give us your thoughts. If the session is good, give it a blowing fire so that we can know that we are on the right track. We're not just here, but we're here to get the actualities. Family Therapy Podcast, how did it came about? And I've known that you have become a doctor, nursing, through therapy. Well, tell us more about this. How did it came about?
Family Therapy Podcast is the creation of my situation. I envisaged a successful marriage, a happy marriage full of bliss, joy, love, and everything. I envisaged a family with happy children, healthy and brilliant, obedient and just, successful in the very moral and upright children. But one day, all that tree that I had built over a period of 30, almost close to 26 years at the time,
Fell in a second.
it fell down. It was brought down by a heavy storm that has lingered on. And therefore, Family Therapy Podcast was in response to what I went through. My son, 24 years old, died the most painful death that I had ever envisaged or I had ever conceived. Then, one day, my marriage stopped holding. It simply disintegrated. And I remember the day I took my laptop and a few clothes of mine and I walked towards my gate. I threw the last glance to my homestead and I left. And it's now more than 3 years, actually 3 years and 6-7 months thereabout. I have never been to my homestead. And therefore, the Family Therapy Podcast came as a result of me wanting to share with the world what did I do and what did I not do. And if I did it, did I do it right or did I do it wrongly? And if I didn't do it, was I supposed to do it or was I not supposed to do it? I have come up with Family Therapy Podcast so that no other, hoping that, and may God give me the favors, and even to the viewers, that may none of your children ever walk the slippery road that I walked. And as a result of what happened to me, I have come up with Family Therapy Podcast where I share my personal experience and even share exactly what I should have done differently and what I shouldn't have done. There were a lot of failures, possibly on both sides. There are many things that I did which I shouldn't have done. There are many things that I didn't do which I should have done. But then, like in any relationship, sometimes we take so many good things for granted. It's not until we lose it all that we realize that maybe we should have done it differently.
I'm very sorry. That's so unfortunate. Now, Mr. Church, I just want to pour water on that to cool it a little bit because it will sweep the emotion, sweep away emotion. Now, personally, when I'm checking into your records, I found that you ended up into cultism. How did you end up into cultism and how did you overcome cultism? And how was this experience?
Let me begin like how did I end up? No, let me begin with the last question. How was the experience? The experience in the occultism was one of the worst experiences ever, because I came very close to killing my family, my entire family. I came very close to wiping my family, shooting them dead, my wife and 3 children at the time. It is during that time that I was most miserable. It's during that time that life was most meaningless. And it's during that time that I lived life full of fear. That kind of thing. Okay. Therefore, how did I get it there? I was a young man. I remember about 21 years old. I had just graduated from the military training when I met a little beautiful girl, and from my perspective, she was just wow. And therefore,
every beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. So I think this is an opinion. Anyway.
To me, yes. And I think I found myself really dancing to her tune, and finally she invited me to the church, and I was hooked by the miracles that I saw there. I know we've experienced, Elisha, we've experienced churches where people act miracles.
Yeah.
They are faking miracles.
And you want to see, we believe those are the real miracles.
Yes.
So I think we see light striking. Yeah, that's what we want to see.
But then here was a situation where I actually saw real miracles. And maybe to the viewers, you may never know, you may never understand the miracles that Jesus performed until you see the miracles that Satan performs. And it's by the way, that's the thing. It's much easier for me to explain the existence of God by first explaining the existence of Satan. Because I saw it.
You saw it.
Oh, yes, I saw it. And it was Jesus.
So you ended up in the church. Was there anything that tied you up, like, together now? Because I think there must be a driving force that, if not love, there's something that bonds you together.
Bond me with who? With honor.
With the lady?
Yes, I signed a covenant with her because the Bible says that if you will join yourself with another person sexually, I mean, you have a covenant. Okay, so because there was a covenant, because we had a relationship. And therefore, looking back, I realized that it was real. And I thought that I was only gratifying the desires of my lust or body. But I realized that I really did sign a covenant with that lady. And that covenant was to haunt me the whole of my life, up to the point where it dawned on me that
if not wealth, what were you to the cultism?
I thought that I would become wealthy. I didn't become wealthy. I thought that I would become happy. I didn't become happy. I thought that I would become successful. I didn't become successful. On the contrary, I experienced the opposite of all those things that I've explained.
You had nothing.
It's just like, for example, pornography is a drug, and a very addictive drug. If you listen to a woman who, a woman or a man who has engaged in pornography, because many of them actually have died due to suicide, overdosing, they use a lot of depression. Yes. And when you listen to those who have survived, they'll tell you, when I joined porn industry, I expected success, I expected riches, but I reaped the opposite. So, in the occult, for me it was the opposite. Maybe if there are those who have been successful, it's possible, of course, I can say there are some I've seen, but I did not get to being successful.
Well, this is talking the family line, which we just right there, almost just coming to the end of this session. It's so interesting. I wish we could have all day to have this story, and it's so interesting. Now, are you total orphan or partial orphan?
At my age, I don't know whether I should call myself an orphan. But
Give us just a gist, and we just want to understand. Actually, the audience or the viewers, some till today they believe the very moment you lose the parent, it could be maybe you've lost a single parent or the entire parent, you are brand of an orphan.
I'm partial orphan.
Yeah, actually.
At the moment, I am a partial orphan. And if I need help, maybe people should settle me. My father died when I was only 24 years old. Unfortunately, he did not live for me to say thank you, Dad, to even do anything for him. And really, that is the worst loss in my life. I know my father sacrificed so much for me. He really raised me.
I wish you wish him even in the grave where she is. How would you wish him? Because
yes.
There's something that you wish, maybe you wish him an eternal paradise, maybe.
Well, just to say that wherever my father sleeps, Daddy, I love you so much, and I really thank you. Dad, I love you so much wherever you are. Just know that I love you. I know you really sacrificed. You gave up so much for me to be where I am. Dad, I will always be grateful to you.
Sure. What was his name?
My father's name was Chacha Chacha. Chacha Chacha.
Chacha Chacha.
Chacha Chacha.
Rest the angels, and your soul will keep resting in peace. And we thank you for you bringing up such a kind of an honorable man. And he's indeed an honorable. Now, you prefer staying with your stepmother rather than your biological mother. I don't know whether the father died earlier or the mother died earlier, but from the look of things, it's your father that passed away first, and then your mother died later. So
my father had 3 wives, so I was born into a polygamous family. And it was a very happy polygamous family. To be honest, actually, it's my mother who told my father, "Hey, Chacha, there are so many cows here. They will be stolen. Some of them will be bewitched. They might start dying. Can you get a second wife?" My father at that time was working in Nairobi and my mom was in the village. So my mom looked for a woman who my father would marry. So basically, you can imagine, you get that picture. It is my mother who told my father, actually like forcing him marry a second wife because these cows are going to waste. You see, during those time, or in those days, people did not know anything about like banking. Maybe they would have sold their animals and put the money in the bank, but they didn't. And therefore, my mother told my father to marry the second wife. And later on, as the second wife came and integrated the family, brought about her children, but the cows, the wealth was growing. I mean, there were so many cows. My eldest sister, called Boke, had just been married. 40 heads of cattle had been brought home. And again, my mom called my father and said, "Hey, you man, are you a fool? What are you doing in the city? There's so many cows here. Can you come and settle here?" And my father said, "No, then come and marry a third wife." And so my dad married.
He never stayed hesitant.
I beg your pardon?
He never stayed hesitant to come and marry.
No, he didn't say no. He came and he married a third wife. So basically, the 2 wives were the request by my mom. Okay? And these 3 women were great friends. Oh, they were great friends. They love each other. We have grown up loving each other. I have never seen like a stepbrother or stepsister. To me, she is a sister, she is a brother. The only difference is maybe the mothers, but when we are together, we are siblings, real siblings. We love each other, we care about each other so much. And when you talked about like, I was raised by a stepmother, my mom was the first wife. Therefore, she was old in the eyes of my father. The 2 wives were younger and maybe more. My mom has ears, the traditional Korean ears that dangle. And these small wives, their ears are fresh, they're still like your ears. They're like the digital wives. Therefore, in most part of the time, my mom was in the village and my stepmother was in the city with my father.
I have more questions left for you before we run up the show, but thank you very much for keeping watching. This is Family Therapy Podcast, Mounted on Basco One. With me, I'm still your host, Dixon Elisha, and I have Chacha George, and another artist called Mr. Chacha. Now, Mr. Chacha, what was the worst moment in the family bay where you are? Some of the moments that you feel like, no, I don't need to stay at home.
Now in my marriage, that is.
No, not in your marriage. When you were a boy.
Oh, when I was a boy. Well, is that time? I think I enjoyed. But my life is a little bit complicated, Elisha, because again, remember, I went to the city when I was 4 years old. My father took me from the village at the age of 4, and I went with a stepmother, actually the third wife. We stayed with her for 1 year, then she came back home. So I lived with my father. My mom rarely came to the city, okay? Only my stepmother would come, and I would stay with them maybe for 2 months, 3 months, then they would come back to the village. They would leave me in Nairobi with my father and my elder brother. Now, I did not really experience family life, okay? In the sense that most of the time I was with my father and my elder brother, so it would be the three of us, you see? And the rest of the children were at home. And it's the process that I didn't experience that motherly love. I did not experience fatherly love also, but when he was available, he did for me the best. For example, like there's a time I remember, and I've never forgotten, we are under the same roof with my father, but for 3 days I have not seen him. We sleep in the same house, but I have not seen him. And actually we were living in a small room at bed-sitter, but I haven't seen him. How? Because my father wakes up in the morning at 3 to go for the early shift. Okay? At 3, I'm still in bed. So when I woke up in the morning at 6, he's already gone, but I find he has left me tea. So I take tea and I go to school. When I come for lunch, my father came early from early shift at 11, and he has gone to booze. My father used to take booze, and therefore he has gone to booze. So I come for lunch, I find food, he has left for me food there. I eat and I go back to school. Then when I come back in the evening, my father is still not yet home. Okay? He comes at 11 p.m., I'm already asleep. So I lived that kind of life. But when my father had time to be with me, he would dance with me, he would sing Korean traditional things, he would be jumping up and down. And that's the kind of man he was. And when I did well in the exam, he would buy me a whole loaf of Elliott's. Elliott's was the best bread at that time. And then my father would buy me a whole loaf of Elliott's with a soda, and I would enjoy. Therefore, this is the kind of man that I lived with. During that time, I had a problem with my eyes. When I was a little boy, they really troubled me. And in most cases, my eyes would start paining me at around 11 p.m. My father has just arrived, and then what would he do? He would take me to hospital at night. On a number of occasions, my father had to take me to hospital within committee on a number of occasions. And when I remember this, I remember the sacrifice that my father did. And therefore, to be honest, I did not experience a family love. I was a jungle boy. I grew up fumbling about what is right. So even today, for me to be a family man, and maybe that's the reason why my family crumbled, because I didn't see a role model in my life.
Now, your father being a bushman, and now you're a porridge man.
Yes, to the viewers who have been seeing me, I take 1.25 liters of porridge every day in the morning.
Wow.
Like today I do, but today it was less. It was only 1 liter, not 1.25.
All right. we are having the final take of it, and then we'll be saying thanks for visiting this session of Masco One Media, and it's happy to have you. On a previous time, we saw you also one of the contestants seeking a position of Speaker of Assembly, a member of Court Assembly. If today, are you still having the same spirit to look for it in the next year to come?
Yes, I did vie for position of Speaker of Migori County Assembly, but I have to admit, Elisha, that it is not as easy as you think, because for you to be elected Speaker of the County Assembly, it means you have, let me not go into that because I might find myself attacking certain people, but I know I have always aspired to become a servant. You remember, priesthood is nothing but servant, and therefore I believe in servant leadership. I believe that My calling, my desire is to impact on people's lives. I want to transform people's lives. It's my passion. It is really my calling. And if I will get an opportunity for me to really, if I will get an opportunity for me or a position for me where I can be a servant, I believe 100% and without any contradiction that I would give the best of me. In any case, the best I can do to myself is to do the best to the community.
Yeah, service to God is service to humanity, and also speaking also on behalf of the people through voice of people, and you are doing that in another dimension that you've taken as a journalist. And I've seen this is an actor on the Family Therapy podcast where you've also touched a lot of people, giving stories from rags to suit, and making people feel that they have that sense of belonging in the community. Actually, and that is a credit I also give you a thumbs up, and thank you very much, Mr. Chacha, for joining us in this session at Bosco One. And we thank you viewers, for having been with us all along, right from where we started. And right now, we say that all that has its beginning must have its end. And thank you for watching. But furthermore, keep on watching and comment, share. If anything you need assistance in terms of maybe you need counseling, I would want you to cough out your number so that they would see. People have got problems and they have learned from whatever you're doing, and if in any case they want to reach you, other than just Family Therapy Podcast on YouTube, where else will they find you, and so that they can get this service done as we shut up the show?
Well, viewers, my name is George Chacha, or Bangkubwa, like you always call me, Bangkubwa, and I speak to you as somebody who lost a very precious child to mental health. And since then, I have become a public speaker on mental health issues, mental health complications, mental health related issues, both on young people and even in marriages. To those whose children are going through struggles, trust me, don't hesitate to call me, because I don't want you to make the same mistake I made with my son. By the way, my son died of suicide, and every time I come to think about it, maybe if only I had acted differently, maybe, just maybe, there will be a different story. Therefore, if your child is going through emotional struggles, identity, is into pornography, is into gambling, is into drugs, is into all manner of social ills, then reach out to me. And if your son is too good also, when the deal is too good, think twice. And by the way, my son who died was a role model in the village. Neighbors and villagers used him as a role model. And I would hear many families saying, why can't you be like the son of Mzee Chacha? He was good. He never smoked. He never drank. He never chased women. He never did any kind of evil. But one day that boy decided to take his life. And that was the most painful thing in my life. So, either two extremes. If your child is too good or is too bad, then let's become friends. Two, in marriage, either a marriage that is dominated by conflict, whether physical or emotional, call me, because I will generously share on this. I normally say, in a marriage, either one person or both of you have mental health problems, and that is just something that I would love to share with you about. The other thing is, if you still feel like your marriage is not holding, and you are torn between what you should do and what you should not do, pick up the phone and call me. I have been invited to schools, both primary schools and secondary schools, where I talk about mental health related issues, where I talk about, because many children we see smartly dressed going to school, maybe carrying beautiful bags, those children are carrying tons and tons of emotional burden, with some of them carrying psychological wounds too big to heal. I am your friend, and all you need to do is to look for me either through WhatsApp, and my WhatsApp number is +254 722 381 547, +254 722 381 547. That is a direct line, and it's also the WhatsApp line. You can also reach me via Family Therapy Podcast. There is either through inbox, and let's keep a live conversation around this. In a few days, I will be holding an online show where I will be talking about marriage and family. Otherwise, thank you so much for following. I encourage you to inbox me, whether through this podcast or through WhatsApp, and let us ensure that our families remain intact. Lastly, do not allow your marriage to walk the road that my marriage won't. Viewers, I am on this platform so that your child doesn't walk the road that my child walked. I also want to encourage you, or rather to invite you, to follow me on Facebook. My Facebook name is George Chacha. I also want to invite you to follow me on TikTok, and my stage name is also George Chacha. Others, thank you so much. It has been a humbling experience to have you on board, and even as we keep following this platform on Family Therapy Podcast.
I just want to tell you, do not let trauma traumatize you, and pressure pressurize you, and depression depress you. Family Therapy Podcast is there for you to make sure that you're well set. Lights fade.
Mm-hmm.